You know, I don't know if this is a record for the EPA, but it has been dragged to the Supreme Court directly or indirectly no fewer than 8 times. The latest dust-up right now is whether the EPA has the power to go ahead and exact huge fines for those who don't clean up their act and, by extension, clean up the air. Now, you've heard from Robert Murray and others in the coal industry and elsewhere say that some of these new clean air requirements to cut greenhouse emissions and the like are going to cost them a bundle. Murray has already told me in his case it's going to lead to at least a couple of thousand layoffs. In fact, 1,000 of those, he says, are directly attributable to these new EPA demands. So we thought we'd talk to Mike Leavitt, former governor, of course, former EPA administrator, HHS, you name it. He has an impressive resume. Governor, on this, does the EPA have this power? Because to hear the likes of Murray and other CEOs tell it, it's going to be a big, big burden.
Well, I think it's clear that the EPA in this administration has used the tactic of pushing their authority as far as they could conceptually do it and wait until either Congress, which has not had the power to do so, or the courts push back.
But the courts never do. The EPA always comes out on top on these matters. And I guess that begs the next question, assuming the EPA comes out on top yet again. The adjustments are going to be very costly, right? For airlines that have to do it and that slap on new fees to pay for it. Big truckers that have to do it, slap on new fees to do for it, because that would apply to school buses as well. Towns and municipalities are going to probably have to charge more taxes to do it. You get the idea. How far does this go?
Well, 2 points. I hadn't been there long as the administrator, where I said to a friend of mine, there's more power in this place than a good man needs or a bad man ought to have.
Yeah.
It is an agency that has expansive capacity. The second thing I would mention is that the agency is populated with people, good people, competent people, but whose values really aren't focused on employment or economic well-being of the country.
So what can you do if you say no, Governor? In other words, you say, no, I'm not going to do it. This is going to kill me. You're in violation of the law, essentially, right?
That's the problem. Everything they do is done with the force of law. I mean, there's essentially a man with a gun behind every ruling, and if it's pressed too far. So ultimately, the only way this is adjusted is that if you have an administration who's not willing to push this all the way to every extreme limit, or the other is for the Congress to step in, or at some point you could hope that the courts would recognize that they're pressing the capacity that is granted them under law.
Yeah, I won't be holding my breath for that. But Governor, thank you very much. Good seeing you again.
Good to see you.